Thanks everyone for joining us. My name is April with the-travelcollective.com, and we're talking about traveling for 2024. As I mentioned before I hit record, Lonely Planet has already published. This is the end of October. It seems early to me. In the past, those lists got published closer to Christmas and maybe beginning of December, early January. They're places to go in the coming year. So they've already published. I know a couple other lists, Forbes, Frommer's. I've seen several lists, but Lonely Planet with 50 places seems to be the largest at the present time. So we'll kind of refer to that list if we get time to chat about it. But I really want to hear, as travelers, and everyone on this call has traveled a lot, a little. I mean, there's so many places just to explore, even stateside, that offer unique places. So it's fun to see that even some of those places made Lonely Planets list. It's not always something that we think is super exotic. So we'll go around the room, and I'd love to hear where some of you have plans or something that's on your wish list for the coming year for 2024. So, Kathy, would you like to go first?
Well, I had to cancel a bunch of trips because I was sick this year in Iceland. But I'm hoping to take a Rhodes Scholar trip uh, from Paris to Normandy and back, a combination of river cruise and bus trip in May. Uh,
Wow.
I will just have to see, in the next month or so, whether I'm going to have to cancel that because I'm not getting back my strength or endurance as fast as I had hoped. Um, I'm booked to go with April to Alaska next September. So I'm hoping again that I will be strong enough to do that. And I've unfortunately had to cancel because I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Rhodes Scholar trip to the Amazon next November.
Mhm.
It's pretty strenuous.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I've heard of Rhodes Scholar, but I don't know usually how big their groups are or kind of what their setup is. Have you taken something with them in the past?
I went to Costa Rica with them once. That was actually my celebrate my retirement trip that I took, and it was a wonderful trip, but it was pretty strenuous. There was a lot of hiking.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Did you get a lot of photos? Because I know you like to take photos to.
yeah. Oh yeah, got lots of pictures. But and they combine the travel experience with a lot of education on their trips. So we had pretty much every evening we had a class on something, biodiversity in Costa Rica, uh, the history and making of chocolate, the history and making of coffee, um, information about what the government's doing to try to preserve the jaguar population in Costa Rica, fairly innovative type of things. And then we had some more entertaining evening events, folk dancing and things like that too.
Well, that sounds like it was a really fascinating trip that that included a lot of things of interest to people.
Yeah, and we weren't a huge group, I think we were 18, um, and I'm still staying in touch with some of the people that I met on that trip that were just really nice people.
Well, that's good. Thanks for sharing about that. I appreciate that.
I tended to hang out with the photographers, so Those,
I understand. Us photographers, we end up lagging behind on some of those tours or walking. We're off taking the photos, and it's like we'll read or catch up on the information part later. Oh dear. Thanks for sharing about that. And I really do hope you're able to take your trips next year. They sound fabulous. So you said one of them was the Amazon?
well, yeah, that one I went ahead this last week and canceled.
Oh,
It's still on my bucket list of places I want to go, so maybe one day I'll get to go.
So
yeah.
Kathy, does that mean you're just on the hunt for something to take its place?
Um, I might be if it's not something too strenuous, because like I said, I'm just not getting back as much strength as I had thought as quickly as I thought I would, and I'm I'll be done with all my therapy sessions this week, and so I'll be hopefully starting back at just the regular gym because I'm so out of shape, not having really done much in the way of cardiovascular exercise since June.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if like a city trip, something when you like you said not so strenuous, a place like that might be of interest. We'll have to look at the list. We can look at the Lonely Planet as far as cities, and you may have been to these places. I'm just gonna shout them out, and then we'll move on and have someone else share too. They have Nairobi, Kenya, Paris, France, Montreal, Canada, Mostar, Bosnia, Philadelphia in the United States, and I may mispronounce a couple of these towns. I do apologize. Manaus, Brazil. That's a place. See, I'm not even familiar with that city. Jakarta, Indonesia. Prague, which is really high on my list. I had to cancel a trip there during the pandemic, unfortunately. Izmir, Turkey, which I don't know if that's
Izmir.
familiar. Izmir.
Izmir. Mm-hmm.
And then Kansas City, Missouri, of all places, also made that 10 top 10 Lonely Planet list.
I was in Kansas City 2 or 3 years ago with 3 friends, like for a long weekend, and we loved it.
Really?
There's so much to do there. And of course, good food and stuff, but there's history, there's culture, there's so much to do in Kansas City. I would
Really?
recommend it.
Oh, well, good. Well, that's a good plug for Kansas City. I mean, to me, I've been to Paris, as I'm sure many of you on the call have been. I mean, there's always things to do in Paris, and I went in winter, which was actually really enjoyable because it wasn't crowded at all. You could walk right up to the Mona Lisa. As far as architecture photos, you don't have, the trees aren't all in bloom, and so you actually can focus more on just the buildings. It was just a different kind of experience. But, so who wants to share next? Did I lose Mary Ann? Mary Ann, did you want to
No,
go
I'm
next?
still, I'm still, still, I'm
Oh,
still,
okay. Okay.
let me
Yeah,
just
so
my camera.
what's on your
Um,
2024 list?
well, I got a lot on the 2024 list. As long as World War III doesn't break out. So as I mentioned, we're going to Costa Rica in January. I'm about to announce a trip to Morocco in April. Then we're going back to the Azores for the 3rd year in a row
Oh,
in
wow.
June.
What's that,
Yeah,
Marianne? The Azores.
Azores Islands off of Portugal. Really beautiful.
What dates I think she wanted to know.
Oh, what dates? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That
just
will be probably late June. I don't have the exact dates yet.
okay.
So I'm working on that. But it'll be the same itinerary as previous trips. So I think that's on my website if you want to check that out. Then in September we're going to Ireland, and December we're going to Vietnam.
Nice.
So I had to postpone this year's Vietnam trip, so we're gonna planning it for next December. So we have a full year ahead of us. And
Vietnam.
uh,
It's so beautiful. And the,
isn't it, Kathy? Yeah, it's just, it is. I just love it. I love it.
I would go back in a heartbeat. Like,
Yeah, yeah. This will be my third time there.
Really? Oh, wow.
Well, my children are Vietnamese. My daughter was born here in the States, but my son was born in Vietnam. So, I was in Vietnam in 2000 when I adopted him, and then we went back in 2010. And, I just left my heart in Vietnam. It's just a really beautiful, beautiful place, and the people are so friendly. It's really great. So I'm hoping that all works out.
Yeah, and
Uh,
what's the weather like there in December? Is it a bit cooler then? I
well, in
mean,
the north, definitely. We're going to start in Hanoi and then fly south to Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and then further south into the Mekong Delta area. It's cooler in Hanoi, obviously, than in Saigon. And then we're going to be going into the mountains to this remote village that has the community-based tourism, so that like people in the village all decide as a village that we are going to welcome tourists, and
oh,
the government helps prepare their buildings for housing and restaurants and everything needed. So it's a real great way to get to know the local culture in a small village in the mountains. And there in December, it will be chilly. I mean, we'll need jackets. Um, but then by the time we get down to Saigon, it'll probably be in the 80s. We won't have to, I don't think we'll have to worry about any really, really uncomfortable heat while we're there. So it should be really pleasant.
yeah. Wow.
And, you
That
know,
sounds fabulous.
yeah, yeah. We're staying at two of those community-based tourism places, one in the north in the mountains and one in the south along the Mekong Delta. And oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's just so much fun. And what I like about this location and some others is that the culture is so different from ours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one reason why I don't offer too many domestic trips, because I'm just really interested in seeing and experiencing these cultures that are so different. Like Morocco will be very different from here. Um, so it should be really great.
Yeah.
And the groups are small. I'm really only aiming at 5 people. Seems like 5 or 6 max is seems like a really comfortable number.
So in
So
Vietnam, are you using some of the guides that you used in the past, or did you say your son was it,
my
or
son was born there, yeah.
is he going to
Um,
be joining you? That would be
no, he came with
fascinating.
me in 2010. We went back to reunite with his caregiver in the orphanage, who had more or less adopted him and considered him to be her son.
Oh,
And
okay.
he grieved for her for years, and we had a very tearful reunion. And I mean, even the taxi driver was crying. It was quite an
Oh,
experience.
wow.
So yeah, my whole family, we just loved the trip to
Yeah, that sounds
Vietnam.
really special.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And we'll spend a night out on a junket boat up on Halong Bay, and that's just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the whole place is just very special. And of course, there's the food. I mean,
Yeah.
how could you go wrong? No,
Yeah, I was already thinking about that.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Just how fresh everything is, I'm sure.
well, and
yeah.
it's not Vietnamese food either. We're in
What,
Han-
Kathy?
when we were in Hanoi, we went to a French bakery, and I mean, the pastries out there were just as good as something that you would see in France, and a lot less expensive.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, obviously there's a big French influence from the period that France controlled Vietnam. So, yeah, it's a great place. I can't wait
Yeah.
to go back.
So as far as mobility, since like Kathy mentioned that, which I think is
Yeah.
important to answer people, is it something that's really active or it's a little more slow paced,
Well, I mean, like my trips don't include like any real hiking because, my body's not in the best condition. So I plan things that I can do. So, the most we'll do on our feet is like a 2-hour tour of a city or something. And even then we'll have stops along the way.
Yeah.
Um, in Costa Rica, we're going to take a tour of the hanging bridges. Did you do that, Kathy?
Yeah, we at the Hanging Bridge Park near Mount Arenal.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the one that we did, yeah, and that was very strenuous. It was
Oh, was it?
it
Yeah.
was I'm trying to remember how many miles it was, but we went over um 8 or 9 bridges.
Oh,
Yeah. Was it
wow.
frightening?
You go up the side of the mountain, and then you come back down over a canyon, and the bridges kind of switch back and forth.
So
Um,
the one we're doing is a 2-hour um event. So was yours longer than that?
yeah, we were probably walking for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
There's
most,
also a
yeah,
zip line place there.
yeah. Most of my trips are not very strenuous. I mean, we went to Italy. We had somebody with us that had really bad knees, and so we did need to slow down a bit to accommodate her. Um, but we don't do any major hiking, and we get transportation. We usually have a tour guide with a van that takes us where we're going. The Azores trip is very easy because it's really mostly seeing the sights, which are gorgeous. Or we always do a cooking class. We try to hear some music, and experience as many different cultural things as we can. When we're in Morocco, we're going to do a dance class with this woman, a dance teacher that enjoys dance, teaching people dances from all over the country, from the different regions, and dances for the different celebrations like weddings and things. So that I'm looking forward to that and learn the history of the culture through her. Um, and we have a couple of cooking classes done, and so I would say they're on the lighter side compared to many trips.
Yeah.
Are you going to Monteverde when you go to Costa Rica? Do you know?
No, I'm not. Um, we're not going there. We're gonna go to La Fortuna and then over to Playa Hermosa on the coast.
And you're going down to the coast. Yeah, I
Right.
went in April, and we spent all of our time up in the mountains. So
Yeah, I mean, we just have a couple of days in the coast, near the coast, at the end of the trip, just for, different scenery and to check it out. But most of our stay is in La Fortuna and the mountains around there and, the hot springs. And
if you get a chance to take a boat ride on Lake Arenal, it's really beautiful.
I have heard that, yes, yes. That does sound like something. I always I plan a free day and let the group decide what they want to do that day. And that's one of the options that
And
we have.
if you're into bird watching, that's a good place to do so.
Yeah, yeah, good, good.
Nice.
That's me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Marianne. Lisa.
For next year, I'm going to be going on a cruise in March. Starts in Santiago, Chile, and goes up the coast of South America and ends in LA. And the main point of this cruise is to go to Machu Picchu.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'm going with a girlfriend. We got in on a really great deal where we get a whole cabin to ourselves and we only had to pay $100 single supplement.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Great.
anyway, that's in March. And then in the fall, I'm going on this tour that's has to do, the gal teaches you to journal and draw your
Oh,
memory.
Anne.
Yeah, and in addition to just taking photographs, and I don't know anything about art, zero.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Was it to Italy or where is she taking
Yeah,
you?
this one, I think she goes to a different place every year. This one is just outside of Venice.
Oh, nice.
And then we also go to Parma. It's just a week total. And so
Right.
just, I don't draw, but I just loved it. I'm so excited. So because I'm already going to be over there, I decided where else can I go? So I'm in 2025, I'm going to do the Camino with a couple cousins. And so I saw a group or a tour to do the Portuguese Camino. And that kind of matches up time wise right before the drawing vacation in Venice. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be over there, I might as well talk with Elaine about going to Morocco. I was supposed to be in Morocco right now and it didn't work
Yes.
out. So
Yeah.
I might try and bundle Morocco and the Portuguese Camino and then into Venice and Parma.
How long are you
Nice.
going to be in Parma, Lisa?
I think it's only like 3 days there and 4 days. We're not in the city of Venice. It's somewhere a little bit out. It's just a week.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, if I'm paying for my airfare over there, I darn well better go somewhere else besides that 1 week.
We had a
Yeah.
great cooking class in Parma. It was really fun.
Class?
Yeah, in Parma. It was really fun. We also stayed at a wonderful Airbnb just like a half hour outside of Parma.
Can I message you later if you have that
Absolutely.
information?
Yeah, yeah, it was fabulous.
Because I'm going to go a couple days
May
before.
I ask, Marianne, what is your website?
kindredwomentravelers.com.
Because I might be interested about the Vietnam.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Kindred what?
Women,
Oh, woman.
women with an EN,
Uh-huh.
travelers with an
Okay.
S.com.
Yep.
All right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
sure.
welcome.
Yeah. And Lisa, you might I don't know if you probably met Lisa who lives in Italy too. You might want to connect with her too because she has a yurt up in the hills in Italy. I don't know if it'd work out time-wise to
No, I
spend.
don't know. Is she someone who's a guest on here or?
She has retreats and she's written books and they built I think at least 2 yurts now right on her property. She's an expat and has been living in Italy in this really amazing little village and like they do, they know the locals, they, do cooking and I don't
So
know, all that.
if I look back at some of the YouTube videos I could probably find her.
Yeah, or I can
Might
send it
have
to you
notes on
too.
her already,
Yeah,
too. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I don't
Thank
know
you.
what she's doing this year. Yeah, she kind of varies up what she does too, but she's really a fabulous person just to even, talk things off of. So,
Okay.
yeah. So since you brought up some countries, I mean, you brought up several places. Lonely Planet for their top 10 countries list for 2024 put Mongolia, which we did do an episode with Leslie, and you've been to Mongolia. India is on that list. Morocco is number 3 on the list.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So for those that know, Elaine too, she does a lot of trips to Morocco. Chile, Benin, Benin, Mexico is number
Where is
6.
Benin?
I'd have to look that up.
Oh, don't worry.
I don't know. I'm
Well,
looking at it, gals.
Benin.
You're looking it up? Okay.
It's Benin.
Okay, well, thank you, Kathy, for correcting me. Like I said,
Kathy, do you know where it is?
It's
West Africa.
Oh, okay.
gonna say Africa.
Yeah.
It has a little tiny bit of sea coast.
Oh,
You know what's interesting is like when I'm telling my friends we're going to Morocco, the response I'm getting is like, oh, why would you want to go to Morocco? Which really surprises me.
I think because which Elaine runs into, which is why, I'm a big advocate of Elaine and what she does. And then multiple times she's been there. It's, again, it kind of gets lumped in as an area because of the language and the culture and and even now people think that it's over there kind of with the Mideast and the turmoil that's going on. But honestly, it just looks like I'd love to go there,
I
honestly.
mean, I've been communicating with expats there, and pretty much they're telling me they feel safer there than any European country right now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If I could give a shout out to Elaine, I wasn't able to go on one of her tours right now because her tours didn't match up with the time frame I needed. So I chose another tour, and it turned out not to be a good one for me for a variety of reasons. But I'm still going to go. And I contacted Elaine. I said, "Can you help me? I have a few free days in these different cities. Can you set me up with your folks in those cities? Because I don't want to have to go to. I mean, I could do tours by locals, but I was just like, I don't want to do that right now. I've got enough going on in my life." She was really great about that. And in the end, I had to cancel it for some family reasons, but she was really great. And I know, Marianne, you're going as well.
And she was very helpful to me when I first started thinking of the trip, and I was going to use her services, and it just didn't quite work out. But she's been very helpful.
Yeah, she is.
Heather, where's Heather going?
Yep, let's let Heather go ahead and unmute yourself, Heather.
I haven't decided yet. I think that after getting COVID, I'm gonna wait a while. I'll decide sometime this spring what I'm gonna do. I may just go to Lake Superior and go see Kevin and Pearl, my brother-in-law.
Yeah, well, the Midwest did come up on the. I think I found it on the. It wasn't. Yeah, it is. It's on the top 10 value travel spots for Lonely Planet. Is the Midwest, which that's a broad area. But I know I spent June and I was back in the Midwest in early October, so there's a lot to see and do there.
It really is, yeah.
There's a lot to see there. A lot of different types of places to go.
Yeah.
So,
and the person that I have an associate that did a trip to the Azores for me in June, and she'd like me to offer and have her facilitate a tour along the California coast, like a wine country tour, which you're very familiar with, April. So I don't know whether we'll actually get to that or not.
Yeah. Val, did you have places that you have planned for 2024?
Well, I'm looking at Panama Canal, maybe in January.
Like taking a cruise or just?
Yes, well, I want to go through the canal. That's the main thing. It's not, I'm not a cruise person. I don't like cruises very much, but this is one cruise I would take because I want to go the not just partial, but I want to go through the canal. That's what I'm looking at. That's one thing. Another thing, the Portuguese Camino I was looking at, that's going to be, there is one agency who is offering it in fall.
That's what
yeah. And actually I was in Portugal last year, And so we went to the San Diego. Yes, that was part of the tour. So I was there, but I would like to walk it now. The Camino, to walk it, and which what they were saying, the Portuguese is the shortest.
I think it's about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So that would be fall, and in between, I don't know. I am a skier. I live in Colorado. We got about 9 inches of fresh snow today, between yesterday and today. And so the ski areas are opening. So I will be skiing this winter. Not going very far.
Val, what part of Colorado are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Denver area. I'm in the suburbs of Denver. Yeah.
I went to school up in Greeley, and then when I was in kindergarten, that age, my dad taught up in Greeley. So very fond memories.
Well, good for you. I mean, I don't go to Greeley a whole lot. My daughter was a swimmer, and in high school and in college, but anyway, we went there when we went for meets, but other than that, no.
Yeah.
But no, big Denver.
You have Russell Wilson now. You took him from Seattle.
But he's not doing what he was bought for, what he was, so I don't know. They are playing today. I don't know. I don't watch football, but I was talking to somebody just before this, and it says, looks like they're going to Denver is going to win. So we'll see.
Yeah.
No. He was a big promise, but I don't think it's happening.
So it sounds like you've got some travels planned. That's great.
And then probably Europe. I'm originally from there. I don't know if I go to Europe, then I will kind of put it together, the Camino. Go there and stay with my family. Slovakia, Prague. April,
nice.
You should go see it. Yes, but it's very, very, very crowded.
Yes, I know. So that's why that might be a place I'd go in winter when it maybe not so crowded.
Not in winter, but what they are saying, my late husband was from Prague. And we went there more than once. And it wasn't as popular as it is now, but what they are saying, summertime, because a lot of the natives leave the city, they go on vacations someplace else.
Right.
So it's not, the native are not there. So who is there is the tourists, and a lot of people come when it's the shoulder season, either spring or fall.
Right.
Summer might be hot, but but it's very crowded. I was there. Well, when I was in France, we were, oh gosh, what's the city where the Pope was at one point of time? Help me out. And we went to see the museum, and King Charles, his statue, but that's not his original statue, is in the museum over there, and they said the original is in Prague. That's why the Charles Bridge is named from him. And so I said, okay, I was home. I call it still home, Slovakia. I took a trip to Prague, just like overnight, and I have to find it. So yes, I found him. There is a small museum before the before the bridge starts, and yes, his original statue is there.
Nice.
And why he was the only one, the story is that he was the only one who could sit next to the Pope. And why was that? Apparently, he was raised by the Pope, and he was a Caesar. He wasn't just Charles. So anyway, he was a quite important. I never knew that what Charles Bridge was named after, but there is the story on it. But it's a beautiful city. It truly is.
Yeah. Nice.
So
Yeah.
anyway, a lot of history.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I know. That's I've been like I said, I've been wanting to get there, so I'll have to figure that out if I can fit that in next year. I know I'll be spending most of it looks like the better part of May and maybe into June in Spain, so I'm working
Yeah.
on that. So
Yeah. Spain is also a nice city. I have been, I have been in most of the countries in Europe. Even I was in Germany. I'm in southern Germany, but I was, would like to see Hamburg and Berlin. Berlin, I was there when it was still east and west, but now is one city. There has been a lot of renovation, and the West Germans want to put the the East Berlin into the up to their standards. So anyway,
yeah. Great. Thanks, Val. So yeah, I'll be going to Spain and then Alaska again in September, and then looking at probably going. I'd like to go to Portugal possibly early in the year, maybe January or February. The airfares right now to Europe are really amazing. So
they are, yeah.
There's a lot of deals out there right now from Los Angeles and other major cities if you look just to Europe. So we'll see.
Well,
I've been through the Panama Canal on a cruise 3 times.
Okay.
And yeah, you definitely want to do a complete transit.
Yes.
I've gone, let me think, once on Celebrity, once on Holland America, and once on the old Crystal. Most of the cruises you go from either Los Angeles to Fort Lauderdale, or Los Angeles to or San Diego to Puerto Rico or Fort Lauderdale. You want to look at what other stops they have too, because the last one I took, which was in 2019, it was on Holland America, and they had a lot of stops on the West Coast, but we only had one stop between the canal and Fort Lauderdale, and I would have liked to have had more. We stopped in Curacao, and that was it.
Interesting. Puerto Rico, now they are announcing United is going to have a direct flight, Denver to San Juan. That would be great.
Yeah, a lot of the airlines have been adding some new routes that are going to be direct. I noticed to places, all over. They've updated United and some other. So yeah, it's a good thing. There's a website, I think it's Flight From. I'll have to put it in the show notes. But I often look at where the direct flights are now, just because I kind of don't like switching flights now. So it's like, where can I fly direct? Where can I fly direct if I want to go somewhere? Like I was supposed to go to Scotland this past October, and that keeps popping up. I just noticed Northern Scotland is on the Lonely Planet's top 10 regions. So hoping to fit that in. Again, I have a guide and a route, do the photography of a lot of the old, castles and abbeys and things like that. The landscape is really incredible. again, before it gets built or changed, or places change. So it's important to try to get there. And hopefully you'll be able to get to Morocco again too, Lisa, because
Yeah.
it is such an amazing place. And
I was really looking forward to it. So yeah, I'll get back there.
yeah.
You know about in Morocco, is there, aren't you, because of the earthquake?
The earthquake happened up in the Atlas Mountains. So
Yeah.
Elaine was on a few weeks ago, and again kind of stated that, that area, yes, is an area that sometimes she has travelers go to, but
Mm-hmm.
luckily no one was there when the earthquake happened. But as far
Mm-hmm.
as like Marrakesh and that area
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as badly affected. And like so
Okay.
many of these places, they rely so heavily on tourism. So there is, just being a responsible tourist. I know a couple of the travel journalists were even telling people, like, if, Maui had those devastating fires, but,
Yes.
call and do your homework and find out, where to stay, what hotels,
Mm-hmm.
because, they are having to house workers and families that did lose everything. But on the opposite side of that scale too, they need that tourist
Yeah,
income
really
to
Yeah.
needs it.
to
Yeah.
Yeah.
rebuild. I mean, that was their livelihood for so many. So again,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that balance and really doing your homework.
I
um
think the tour.
Better to stay on the North Shore or the South Shore. Like I like Kihei in Maui a lot better than I like the Lahaina area, which is so crowded, or in the past has always been so crowded and so full of traffic. And Kihei is a lot more laid back.
right. Were you
I
going to
was
say?
just going to say about Morocco, this tour that I was supposed to be on right now. We were supposed to stay up in the Atlas Mountains, and that's the only thing they canceled. We just,
Mm.
we missed one stop. We were to miss one stop, and they added that day onto our Oceanside, uh,
Oh.
the place we were staying on the ocean. So I was like, oh, that's so fabulous, an extra day at the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of places, I mean, so many things can happen anywhere. I mean, for many people outside of the United States, I'm sure the idea, when they see our statistics, they're like, oh, it's frightening to go to the United States. And
Right.
conversely, places that are uncomfortable for us, if you do your research, go online, there's so many YouTubers out there that live expat communities. I know, like Marianne had mentioned on a previous call, go on Facebook, get in the expat groups and ask questions. I know I have an upcoming trip to Egypt, and I found a couple expats that are doing videos right from Cairo. They're walking around, they're showing what it's like day by day. And yes, like anywhere can change. I mean, we could have a massive earthquake in Los Angeles, or we could have,
Yeah.
So
anything.
you're still
So,
going to Egypt, right?
yes, I'm still
Yeah.
planning to go to Egypt. My guide's in Egypt. It's a husband and wife team. She's American. He's always born and bred Egyptian. His family is still there. We'll have a day where it's optional if we'd like to go out and meet his family in the countryside and see that local side of it. So yeah, I'm actually, I think as travelers, we have to, there's always a fear factor and each of our fear factors may vary, but I kind of look at it that, I got to seize the day, after the pandemic and, unfortunately, personal people I've lost in my lifetime that didn't get to go to places that set time aside and worked their whole life, never got to
Right.
see those places. It's that balance. And of, yes, I could fly to New York City and be told, what, the government, the US is upgrading the threat level or something could change. But again, you have, it's that being flexible, be aware of your surroundings and just being smart. I've signed up for the State Department website. So like when they had a protest or, which they've been happening here stateside as well, I'm getting those
Right.
notifications. And
Mm.
And
like
I
you
also
like
think
you
travel.
said too, Marianne, about Mexico, people have said, hey, why are you
Right.
going to Mexico? So I
Right.
think and everybody's got a different comfort level, so we have to just be open-minded as travelers that what might be okay for someone else. I mean, there's places that I probably, Egypt might have been one of those places years ago I've always wanted to go, but yet I was like, will I do it? Will I do it? So when the opportunity presented itself, I'm like, you know what? I gotta go. So,
And travel companies don't want to take people where there's going to be a problem.
No,
they're
of course
not going
not.
to take us
Right.
if it's not, I mean, there could be unsafe situations, but they're not going to jeopardize their business, their reputation, and people's lives if they really don't think.
and I
I've,
think,
I've been 8 miles from the Syrian border, and the US State Department said I wasn't supposed to be there, but I thought the travel company's not going to take me there if they think there's a problem.
Uh-huh.
That was we were in Turkey.
Uh-huh.
It can be pretty disappointing, though, if you've looked forward to something for a long time.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was on a Mediterranean cruise a couple of weeks ago, and they were supposed to go to Egypt, and this was right when everything was really bad in Israel and Palestine, and there had been just recently a murder of 3 tourists in Egypt.
Oh, really?
The cruise ship didn't stop in Egypt at all. It didn't even go to Alexandria, which is where they were supposed to go. And instead, they went to Crete. So, if you were going on that trip specifically to see Africa, I mean, Egypt, you would have been pretty disappointed. Like my trip last fall, where I was supposed to go to the Amazon, and we couldn't go because the water was too low.
yeah.
We went from Nassau all the way down the coast of South America, and they ended up ending the cruise in Berlin, which is at the mouth of the Amazon.
Oh, yeah, that must have been disappointing.
Yeah,
We couldn't go to Manaus, which is where I wanted to go, was to Manaus.
That's another thing too, is just the world, the climate, between climates and civil unrest of one kind or another, things are disappearing from our grasp as far as exploring,
yes.
And I feel some urgency.
I agree with you, Lisa, too. I mean, I've seen it in Alaska alone, just in the last several, and I'm talking short term. I mean, in the last 10 years, there's been dramatic change, just between the color of the leaves, the seasons, the glaciers that are melting and cracking off. And Kathy, like you mentioned, like rivers drying up. I think it was recently even the Mississippi River cruises weren't able to transverse the river. They were having too much, it was too muddy, not enough water in certain areas. So I agree, Lisa. I feel a lot of urgency, and especially would love to go to Machu Picchu, and that's a place where I'm feeling some urgency too, because I think it was just last year at some point there was some happenings where they literally had to shut down. There was some unrest. There were tourists that were, caught. And I just kind of feel like that could happen anytime, any place. I'm not saying don't do your homework and your research and be safe, but what may feel safe to you, that's why I try not to, we can't impose our own fears on someone else. I think fear keeps us, so many Americans, home and behind our desk and in our house, and to me the whole value of travel is to get out there and realize that there's so many people, we have shared values. And
when I went to South Africa, that was part of what influenced me to go to South Africa, because it had been there, things had been pretty stable there for a long time, and people kept saying, well, why don't you go to Kenya and Tanzania, because it's, the safaris are better there. And 2 weeks before I went, my goddaughter went to Kenya and Tanzania. And when they were getting ready to leave, they were having riots in Kinshasa, and they were flying out of Kinshasa, and they got to the airport and they closed the airport, and they wouldn't let them go back into town because that's where the riots were. So they slept on the floor at the airport for 2 days before they were able to get a flight out. And I'm going, oh, I'm so glad I'm going to South Africa instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so back to what you were saying, the tour guides, they wouldn't let you go. They wouldn't plan a trip and bring you someplace that's unsafe. I think it's still very important for you to do your own research because, I mean, that's just the opinion of the tour. I mean, it could be one person, like myself. And, I would expect everyone to do their own research as well to make sure they're comfortable with it. Because when you're traveling, anything can happen.
Yes.
And everything is not in the control of the tour guide.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
Yes,
always
I understand.
unexpected things. So
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that out.
No, I agree completely. You got to ask a lot of your own questions. If it's, otherwise anything can be open, and it also brings back like, if you're looking to travel, go back, looking into travel insurance, whether it's for health reasons or just, cancellation reasons, and really ask a lot of questions and do your comparison because, again, some things aren't 100% covered, they just can't be, but other things you may be able to get reimbursed for things that have to be changed last minute.
I have to say I was surprised with the cancellations I've had to make recently for a family member's health, not for my own. And I just kind of assumed it wouldn't cover because I thought I was just, if I get sick. And they said, no, you and anyone in your immediate family. So that was a fabulous shock. I mean, I don't even know why I called. I just assumed it was only for me. But
that is interesting.
So that was really nice.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, Lisa. Exactly. Sometimes we do have to make choices to care for another person in our family or circumstances change. So, oh, that's great.
I also feel that if you don't bother other people, if you are a tourist, you can ask questions. If you are not, bothering them, they are not going to bother you.
True.
I like to mingle with the natives.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think a lot of us
and
travelers.
you just they give you information, they give you their input, then you just have to become friendly with them, not to be that's why a lot of people say you Americans, well, I have lived here 54 years, I feel native, but because some of the tourists, when they go, they are very rude to the native, and that's why United States, it's not well, how should I say, accepted to different countries.
Yeah, well, that's just appalling. I mean,
yeah.
to visit someone's home and be rude is,
yeah.
I mean, that's just appalling.
Right. Well, thanks, you guys. Sorry to cut it off, but it's
Yeah, I need to go
5:01. So
Val,
thank you
I was
everyone
just
for
going to
joining.
say one thing to Val. Before you go through the canal, read the book The Path Between the Seas by David McCullough.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I mean, he was a great historian, and it's the whole story of the building of the Panama Canal. It made it so much more meaningful going through the canal.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I want to go through the canal. I read some of the history. Well, now they build the new cascades.
Right.
And how is the last name spelled? MC?
MCCOULL.
Well, you can text it to me, Kathy, and I'll include it in the show notes. So thanks, everyone. I got it. Sorry to
goodbye.
take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you.